All right, so let's talk the truck series at Las Vegas. It's myself and Crazy Kev. What's going on, Kev?
Oh, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. We'll be talking the truck series, and we'll get the Xfinity and Cup video up as well. But let's just dive right into it. So, go over the race preview, initial thoughts, and this is all before practice and qualifying, which will be happening tomorrow. So we're recording this as of Thursday. So this is more of kind of a preview, early picks, kind of ones to watch type of video, and then we'll be putting out another final picks video after the qualifying is done tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. But some things that you want to keep in mind, some things you want to look for, some things you want to kind of have at the back of your mind when you're building your line this weekend is, some of these points we have right here. So the race is relatively short. It's only 134 laps. A lot of these guys are going to be able to race the entire stage without coming down the pit road under green, except for maybe potentially that last stage. There might be one green flag pit stop at the end. If you don't know, Kyle Busch is racing this weekend, so it'll be really interesting to see how he does and just how much ownership he grabs. And yeah, even though it's a short race, the time it takes to complete this race might be relatively long just because normally there's a lot of cautions with the truck series. So sometimes when you're just playing guys, as long as they can just survive and get through the wrecks, sometimes you have a good chance of hitting that optimal lineup. But we highlighted a couple of drivers in blue that stood out to us, or as you start to build lines, you're kind of falling into some of these ranges, and we'll kind of walk you through, some of the different ones that we've highlighted. And these are, I guess, kind of the early picks you would say, but I guess we'll start with you, Kev. So if you're looking at that top range, mainly between, I guess, the two KBM drivers of Kyle and John Hunter, what's kind of your approach and your thoughts with, should you roster one of them? Should you roster two of them? Should you fade that both of them all together? I'm kind of curious on, how you're approaching those two drivers this weekend.
Right. So obviously, DraftKings did not miss the elephant in the room with Kyle Busch, put him right there at 15K. And then you got John Hunter, who, when Kyle Busch isn't running, is probably by far the best truck in the series, priced up there as well. So I think playing around a little bit, making lines, I think it's going to be really hard to get both of them, which would also make it unique. So if you're able to do that, it might be a way to go. But I think kind of the route I'm thinking, I know we discussed it a little bit, is just going to be probably picking one of them. You run multiple lines, obviously mix that up a little bit. And then, so you're going to have one of them because one of them's probably going to lead all laps or most of the laps. And one of them's probably going to win, assuming nothing crazy happens or they just don't have the speed this week. It's hard to foresee. To pick one of them, and then you're going to mix them, add a couple punt plays with that or value plays. And then obviously you can see we got this 8K range highlighted a bunch, but so one of them's either going to lead the race or they're going to be pretty even split. If you think you're trying to more towards like they both have about the same number of fast laps, same number of laps led, and they're both going to kind of finish top five, I would personally maybe trying to a little bit more towards John Hunter just because he comes in 3K cheaper. It allows you to get a little bit more extra value in other parts of your line, and whoever takes down this week is probably going to have one of them, so they're going to be very high owned, so you're not differentiating there. So saving a little bit of money on John Hunter if you think they're going to do about the same might give you that edge elsewhere in your lineup.
Yeah, I like it's without knowing where they're qualifying, it's sometimes it's hard to pick, which one you're going to go with. But last year when they ran this race, they weren't qualifying. They were setting the field through the lineup formula. And because Kyle wasn't running these races on a weekly basis, he started at the tail end of the field and had, massive place differential upside with, also the upside of getting out front and leading the race. And I don't remember if John Hunter started up front and led for most of it, but it'll be interesting to see where they qualify, because if John Hunter starts on the pole and, Kyle starts further back, there's a good chance that, hey, maybe John Hunter leads all of stage one, maybe even all of stage two. And if the race goes green, like Kev was saying, one of these drivers should win the race. I think Kyle even has, negative odds if you're looking at like sports books to win. Basically meaning if you put $1 down, you're only going to get, 80 cents or something back in return. But so we'll see. And then the hard part is with the truck series, like it doesn't always go green, right? There's always cautions. There's always something that kind of throws a wrench that tilts the slate. So, like Kevin was saying, maybe if you are building multiple lines, like make sure you get different because both of these guys are going to be significantly high owned, and the one of them and or both of them probably have the best chance of making the optimal lineup. But say something crazy happens, one of them has a mechanical failure, a tire go down, a penalty at the end, it might not hurt you to, if you are someone who does build multiple lines, to not be 100% in on either of those guys. Um, if I had to pick one, I'm probably going to go with Kyle just because it is Kyle, and then kind of going from there. And I like this 8K range a lot just because I think some of these drivers are underpriced, and I think their upside is very similar to a lot of the drivers above in that 9K range. And again, it'll kind of come down to where they practice and qualify. But if you start to go through DraftKings and you start to plug in drivers and you kind of fall into these different ranges, I really like a lot of the value in the 8K range. I think Infinger is significantly underpriced. The Thor Sport trucks were really fast here the last time we came, and Crafton is the cheapest of the Thor Sport drivers there, and also the most experienced. So if he can just give me a top 8 finish, that's probably going to do it for his price. Hocevar always has good speed. Friesen is sometimes hit or miss, and Ankrum was really cheap in that Hattori 16 truck as well. So that's a range I'm really going to be kind of keeping my eye on this weekend, seeing who has good practice times, who qualifies well, and then maybe looking at pairing them with a Kyle. And then as we get down to some of the value plays, especially if you're playing both Kyle and John Hunter together, you're going to need a lot of these scrubs, kind of the bottom of the barrel plays. So why don't you walk us through a little bit, Kev? Maybe some of the drivers we have highlighted, or maybe even some of them that I didn't highlight that are kind of catching your eye from a value punt range this week.
No, I think the highlights pretty much nail it. In this 6K range, I definitely would lean Deegan there. Just seems to kind of always finish in those mid to low teens, like relatively consistently. So depending on where she qualifies, that could be great value. Even at 65, if she qualifies 15th or something, finishes 13th, I think that's really all you need out of her there. And then dropping down here, I really like Austin Wayne Self. He always seems to run pretty good. As long as he avoids trouble, he usually finishes pretty high. And I mean, when we were playing around earlier, it seems like you're going to need 2 guys out of this range, one of either Kyle or one of we'll just say one of those top guys. And then that kind of puts you the rest of your drivers in that 8K range. Is why we got so many of those highlighted. So yeah, I think I'll let you take it from here, but
yeah, I mean, it's, as an early preview type of video, I think these aren't the final picks by any means. And if you want those, we'll have a final video, up after qualifying, and, we'll input all the data on this spreadsheet. You can see, where they start. We'll put all of our interest levels in there. It's very easy to look at it after qualifying and figure out okay, what is the driver pool? How, why am I high on this guy? Why am I low on this guy? All of our notes will be in here. So if you want it, it's over on our Twitter, which is right here. It's just at Fast Cars FM. So feel free to go over there, and we'll be posting this, but we'll also have another video up on YouTube as well. So that'll do it for the initial preview, kind of early picks video for the truck series. Our Xfinity series and Cup series videos live right now as well. And those are very similar to this one, just going over initial previews, kind of ones to watch, things we're trying to keep in mind. And hopefully, we'll have a good DFS weekend. We got three races to break down. So it'll be a lot of videos coming out from us and a lot of spreadsheets, and should be a good one.